This week, not much has been happening in the garden, so on Man vs Slug, I'm going to be teaching you how to plat onions.
Man versus Slug.
Going into the man cave.
The first thing to do is to trim off all the remaining roots from the onions, just to tidy them up a little bit. Then we arrange the onions, or 3 onions next to each other, and we start plaiting them, just as I put plaiting here. So we've got the 3 strands, and we just overlap, always turning from the outside into the middle. Fairly straightforward. After a few plaits, then integrate additional onions, and it's important to sort of run the onions along the same strands as the one coming from that direction. And we're just going to plait those additional sort of remaining dried out leaves into the plait. You'll find several videos on YouTube where people have integrated string alongside the onion leaves to give the plait some strength. But I've found these dried out onion leaves are actually really quite strong. Where we've overlapped multiple onions and then sort of plaited them all together, we end up with a really strong plait that's quite capable of supporting the weight of the onions. Having introduced 3 additional onions, we then do a couple more plaits again, bring it from the outside over to the middle. And this is where I needed my wife's hands, because she's just so much better at plaiting than I am. And we keep going like that, keep incorporating additional onions every couple of plaits, trying to keep them as tight as possible, close to each other, and we keep plaiting away. I had intended to do a video much earlier in the summer to show you this, but it turns out I'm so bad at plaiting. But you saw the onions at the start of this video. Those were ones that are plaited together. I was quite pleased with the result, but yeah, the video wasn't going to work out really. It took me too many attempts to work out how to remember how to plait. But all we're doing is taking the bunch from the outside and bringing it over to the middle and alternating that process over and over again. Skipped a little bit of plaiting, but now we're getting to the end of our bunch. Not because of the weight, but because we're actually running out of onions. It's just a couple where they haven't gone brown, still green, but it's the last couple of onions that we've got. And having plaited those in, you can see that the onions are perfectly capable of supporting their weight. They don't need any additional string for support. Ideally, we would have pulled the onions in a little bit tighter. It would have made it look a little bit tidier, but yeah, it'll do the job. It'll store the onions, display the onions. Now we're just going to gather together all of the stalk. This is the one place that I will use string. Having gathered those stalks together at the top, we can just tie that off to hold it all together finally. And then we're going to make a loop so that we can hang the onions up and display them. So we're going to take sort of 20-30 centimeters, something like that, chop off that bit of string, and then tie that back where we tied off the onion stalks at the top. And after tying that off, we'll be able to hang it up and display it.
Well, there we go, that's how to plait onions. And yeah, you can hang them up and display them, and they look lovely. And then eventually you have to destroy it so that you can actually use your onions. Now I just need to get my wife back in here, because somebody's going to have to tidy up. Well, that's it for Man vs Slug this week. Just a reminder, if you want to see me eat some Trinidad scorpions on a live stream next week, I'll be at 11 o'clock on Saturday the 21st. Well, it will be if you go back to the Hunt for Red September, last week's video, and like it. I get 100 likes, then I will be suffering next week. Hope to see you on that live stream. Well, actually, maybe. I hope not. Anyway, see you next week.